40 years ago when I first became a monk. And all of a sudden I'm dressing in this manner, and I'm growing my beard long and my hair, and every time I went anywhere, I felt so conscious of other people staring at me. Eventually one learns, as parish priests who wear cassocks learn, not to notice it. But initially I did. And I always felt on the spot like somehow I had to be paying attention to how I was behaving and how I was presenting myself, because I was afraid that I was going to be giving a false impression to people about what a monk was. And it was so frustrating. And I went to my spiritual father, Archimandrite Dimitri of blessed memory of Santa Rosa, and I told him that I was really concerned. I said, I don't know whether I can do this. How can I be somebody that I'm not? And Father said that the Lord is going to be, the whole idea of the monastic life is to be transformed into Christ's likeness. And if you're going to allow God to change you, and for theosis to take place, you have to be yourself. And so if you are concerned about your image with other people and what they might be thinking and what they might be expecting you to be like, then you're actually becoming somebody else. And so you're giving your heart to those people and not to God. By doing this, you have no heart to give to God. And I would say that in our view of Orthodoxy in America, we have to do the same thing as a body, the church. If we think that every priest or every bishop should fit in a mold, we're wrong. One of the things that has crossed my mind many times is when we look at a bishop, and the bishop is the father of the flock. He's the father of all of his priests. Well, any person who thinks about it knows that there are periods of time in their own lives that they have judged their own father. When I was a kid, my dad was a golf pro, and his nickname was Big Al, and everybody knew Big Al, and he was one of these slap people on the back. He knew everybody's name. It didn't matter what station in life you were from, he would be your friend. Once he even played golf with Sam Snead and President Eisenhower, and yet he had friends that had very little money. And I remember in Sandpoint, Idaho, one couple that the guy was his golfing buddy, and they lived in a house with a dirt floor. And my dad, that was nothing to him. He didn't care. And but I was embarrassed about that behavior with my dad. So I found myself judging my dad in my younger years and wishing my dad was more like other dads. And I think that we have a tendency as American Orthodox Christians to do that with our bishops and our priests. Like, oh, well, if the bishop was different, and if he was nicer, or if he wasn't so aloof, or if he was not so silly, or whatever. We always come up with these images of what we think a bishop should be like. But if we stop ourselves and we think, and we say to ourselves, my bishop is my father. And sometimes I'm judging my father, but I should stop doing that. I should pray for my father. So we should pray for our bishops. And the same thing goes with our priests. It's easy to say, oh, I wish I had a priest like you. Our priest is, our priest is not filling the vision that I have of what I think a priest should be like. So we judge our priest. Well, bishops and priests know this. They know that they're being judged by their flock, and it is hurtful for them. And when you think about it, if a man has 10 children, and he's trying to be a good father to all 10 children, and being a natural thing, he'll have a few of his children that are maybe his favorite. But as one father told me, all my sons, he had 8 sons, And he said, all of my sons are good athletes, handsome, and smart. But one of my sons, my youngest, is slow. And he's not an athlete, and he's not good looking, and he's not a good student, but he needs my love more than the others. So in some ways, he's my favorite son. And I think when I think of the huge burden that bishops have, when they've got sons all over a diocese in their priests, plus all the people, the sons and daughters that they have that are part of their flock, that's a gigantic responsibility. And I can't think of anything worse than falling into bed at night thinking about what did I do wrong this time, or what could I done better to be a hierarch to these people. And we shouldn't burden our bishops with things like that. We should be looking at our bishops with love, never judging them, but always praying for them. And the same is what we should be doing with everybody else. We should be praying with everybody, praying for everybody. Our neighbors that are Presbyterian and we don't really care for them because they don't mow their lawn, or the old lady at church who just lost her husband. We should be praying for everybody. And then, collectively, as Orthodox Christians, be welcoming to people that visit our churches, whether they're dressed right or not, or whether they make the sign of the cross correctly or not, to love them and to welcome them. And then, if we do that, and we get in a habit of doing that, what we end up doing is we image our Orthodox faith to the world around us in such a way that others are drawn into Orthodoxy and they want to be an Orthodox Christian. And part of that, I think, is not being so stern about our orthodoxy. I've seen people, and I've probably done it myself, where I go into church and make the sign of the cross, venerate the icons in a very serious way. And then I turn around and I see a stranger and I look through him. We can't do that. Because if we're venerating an icon, which is a window into eternity, and we're venerating the saints, and we're standing before an icon of the Holy Virgin, asking her as our mother to watch over us, to take care of us and protect us, how can we in turn not feel so much joy that when we turn around and we see a stranger, even if the stranger's down the street in the grocery store, not to impart joy? So that's my message, I would say, to Orthodox America, is that we need to impart the joy of being in our life in Christ, and the blessing that we have of being part of the Orthodox Church, which is the ancient church in this age.
I was playing hide and seek. Where's the kids?
Not in here. I promise. No one's hiding.
Yeah, someone's hiding in here.